Welcome to the Elite BSC podcast, where our entire focus is helping commercial janitorial contractors succeed. You want a growing company, a thriving team, and healthy profits, and we are here to help. My name is Jordan Tong. I'm the founder of Elite BSC, a company dedicated to helping janitorial companies grow and thrive. I also serve as CEO and one of the owners of France Building Services. France is a janitorial company employing nearly 600 people. Since 2007, we grew from 1.5 million to more than 20 million in annual revenue and built what I think is one of the best teams in the world. The goal of Elite BSC and this podcast is to give owners in the industry a vision of where their company can be and the information and tools to get there. I want to share what I have learned over the years to make this a reality for you. Hey, this is Jordan Tong, your host here. So today I've got a little bit of a different podcast. I'm going to be playing the audio from a session that I delivered at a workshop. So part of what we do at Elite BSC is we host workshops and on various topics, operations, sales, HR, that sort of thing. And we actually have a workshop, a sales and growth workshop coming up the 1st of June. If you go to the Elite BSC website, you can click on, there's a tab at the top. I think this is member resources and then live workshop. And you can look at that. You can register and see the agenda and everything that we're going to be doing there. But this one was from an operations workshop in the past. And the title of the talk in that particular session was how to boost profits at an account by increasing revenue. So we often think about when we're thinking about increasing profit margins, we always think about slashing costs and finding ways to cut costs in what we're doing. And so this is maybe taking a little bit of an opposite approach to that and looking at how we can increase the profits, get the profits that we're wanting by boosting revenue at an account and some strategies for doing that. So check out the workshop that we're going to be doing in June. We'll have another one probably coming up later in the year. We've got a couple ideas, maybe branching out, mergers and acquisitions, a couple other potential topics that we're going to be talking about. But check out what we got going on in June, and I hope this particular talk is helpful and maybe gives you some new insight into how you can be more profitable as a cleaning company. Enjoy. Let's look at, and we're going to just sort of split this up into two parts. We're going to look at how can we increase revenue in order to boost our profits and our margins, and let's look at how we can decrease expenses and some strategies to do that. So obviously one way to increase revenue and profits is to get new customers. But one of the things that, and I'll just briefly touch on this because Jeff mentioned it yesterday, when you saw that our margins started going up a bit over the years and our overhead costs started going down, and you'll see in your notes here talking about carefully considering right fit customers, part of our ability to continue to improve on our margins was being more and more selective about the customers that we had. So our margins started going up as a percent of revenue because the type of customer we were going after was a bit more strategic and we were able to get better margins at those accounts. Okay, so if we want to boost the bottom line as a percent of revenue, we want to be more strategic with the kinds of business that we go after. And that takes discipline and focus, all right? Because it's really tempting to go get anything and everything that you can get. But being really selective helped us improve that. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Let's sort of get into the meat of this here. Is adding additional sites for existing customers. So I guarantee you that many of you all have customers that have other locations or other parts of their facilities that you're currently not cleaning for them. Do any of you guys have that already that you're aware of? Yeah, so it's almost like if you have some of those people, it's like the whole sales process has already been done. You've been invited to the table, and all you've got to do is go out there and ask and work to get them. The hard work has already been done, and that revenue is out there for you to get at some point. Jeff, can you think of any accounts that we've had like that where we started out in a place, like a single location, and it slowly started to...
Yeah, in particular, we've got 3 outpatient medical facilities.
Okay.
Medical practices.
This is the one in Bowling Green was an example. That's right. We started with maybe 1 or 2.
We got 4 buildings, now we're 15.
4 buildings that turned into 15 buildings. Yeah, it's happened with a few medical ones too. Some over in Evansville too, right? Yeah. So you get in one place and you start doing a good job, and then you start leaning on them to open up the door. Sometimes it's just a matter of saying, hey, we'd like to do more business with you. Because they don't, I learned this a long time ago. It probably happens less now, but I remember we did like a really small piece of something for somebody, and there was a whole bunch of other business out there we could get. And I just thought, I mean, if they wanted us to do it, they would ask us. And I remember asking them, and they're like, oh, y'all can do that? I thought y'all were just a little, and I'm like, no, we can definitely do that. So just being intentional about that. So if you guys are thinking about doing partnership meetings, if that's one of the things you're going to slowly start to implement a little bit, maybe that's one of the questions that you ask at every partnership meeting. Do you have any other facilities, or is there any additional work that we could add that you need us to? Don't say that we could add, but just do it in such a way that you're inquiring to see what other ways can you serve them. All right? Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is ad services. So when we sell a job, as a general rule, we try to leave ad services out of the contract. So for instance, if we know this particular customer would want to strip and wax their floors once a year and scrub and recoat twice a year and then do monthly buffing, for instance, we might include the buffing in the contract, but we would try to leave those other big floor projects out of the base monthly contract. So there's a couple reasons for that. Number 1 is I hate what it does to the financials. So they get real wonky. So one month it looks like you're doing really, really well, and then you got the floor work done the next month, and you got to put all this money and time and everything in there, and then your financials look crazy off that month. So it makes it really hard to see, unless you look at that thing for the course of the whole year, how it's doing. So that annoys me. And that's reason enough for me to want to pull it out. But the second one is we want to give our managers opportunities to upsell and to really push to do that work. All right? And they get some commission on that work for selling that and getting that work done. And so we want to leave money on the table for our operations people to go out and get. So we want them to be motivated and incentivized to go out and sell that extra work. So another reason too, I think it's in the best interest of the customer to pull that stuff out, because really a lot of these people have built these specifications over the years and someone just gave them to them. Like most of your contacts aren't like experts in cleaning. So someone at some point built a scope of work, and a lot of times they just have, I need you to strip and wax these floors 4 times a year. And well shoot, you don't need to do that. You might need to strip and wax once a year, maybe once every 2 years, and you just need to scrub and recoat that thing a couple times a year, right? And so it's a way for you really to honestly serve the customer well and say, hey, actually you don't need to do all that. It's in your best interest, so let's pull that out, and then we can assess during our meetings, partnership meetings, what needs to be done, and then you can make the decision at that time whether or not you're going to spend the money on it. So I would rather be in that sort of a scenario with somebody. So in terms of ad services, what floor work, carpet care, window washing, pressure washing, managing recyclables. If you get into manufacturing plants, there's lots of things that you can do. I know, Matt, we were talking about this the other day. I mean, it can get into scrubber drivers, forklift drivers. We've got some accounts where we've got driving a golf cart around with a trailer and we're hauling trash out for people. I mean, there is just changing filters out, cleaning equipment. I mean, the list could just go on and on and on and on and on, what you can do at a manufacturing plant. Does anybody have any unique ad services that they're currently doing? Like anything out of the box?
Would you consider like sign washing?
Could be. Yeah, like outside, like the big signs, yeah.
The big signs that they actually have up here?
Yep, that could be something. All right, what else?
I think the only thing I can think of that we do is special events, set up and tear down.
Okay.
We had one facility that didn't have anybody to set up and tear down events.
Yeah.
We can have that on.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. We do a little bit of that, Jeff, don't we? Like in Nashville and a couple places, some public venues. Yep.
done some upholstery cleaning, hundreds of office chairs.
Okay.
Cleaned.
Yep. Jeff, can you think of any really unique or odd or out of the box things we've done?
In manufacturing, we cleaned some production equipment in a couple of places. No, man.
So overhead cleaning, in a lot of manufacturing plants, we'll rent lifts, scissor lifts or whatever, and we'll do overhead cleaning. We've done painting for people in some buildings.
Team really loves to do overhead cleaning.
They don't like that, do they? It's really profitable too, or it can be. Yeah, it was my summer job for a time. I remember there was a furniture factory here in town. It's been torn down now. And I remember I'd have to go out at night and clean those things. And man, my shoulders would just be killing me because the whole time you're holding a backpack back and just for 4 hours. I was probably not the best employee for my parents when I was. I just thought I'd pitch that out there. It's really embarrassing to look back on myself.
What about construction? Does anybody make a good living off of normal construction cleans, big buildings and whatnot?
We've done some, yeah. Our ops people will do those, yep.
I have a couple of contractors that I work for that call us regularly to come in and do commercial buildings. We'll go in and do construction.
So they're contractors that would call you guys to do some post-construction work.
The relationship with the contractor is probably more important, and I've worked for several different ones, and there's some that are really good, and there's some that you don't, but you've absolutely got to draw the line and make sure that they are done with construction, because you can be in there and they'll, this contractor's just going to be finishing up the AC.
Yeah.
We'll be back when he's done.
Yeah, and you clean up and then they ask you, oh, it's not clean again, you need to come back. Yeah.
No, see, that's, you've got to be very cautious in doing that.
So when I talked yesterday about our management and how we wanted our area managers to actually be out in the field in front of the customers and doing partnership meetings, one of the reasons for that is we want them out selling ad services. And so if you have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 area managers out in the field, and we have now 30 or so. I don't know how many we have. Is it 30? Okay. I'm still in tune with our company here really well. And but think about it, that's an army of salespeople out there that are in front of the person who would make decisions about these ad services. So if I didn't allow those managers to do that, then I'm pulling this sales force back and I'm relying on 2 or 3 or 4 big wig operation people to do that, and they're just not going to effectively be able to do that. But these managers are in the buildings every night. They know the needs of the buildings. They know the kinds of projects. They may be able to uncover things that nobody even knew needed to be done because they're there all the time. And they're perfectly situated to be able to sell those services to customers.
So they're trained to put the proposal.
Yeah. And you can, there's a couple ways to do that. So one, you can just make like a really simple pricing sheet for them. And maybe give them a cap like, hey, you've got the freedom to price anything up to $3,000. Or $2,000, whatever you feel comfortable with. And maybe anything bigger than that, you need to get approval from me or whatever. But so like I remember a long time ago, I made up a little sheet one time that was like, here's a really basic pricing guide. So for like strip and wax jobs, if the job is, we have a minimum of let's say $500. So no matter how small the job is, we're going to charge at least $500. And if it's X amount of square feet, you charge this many cents per square foot, and if it moves up into this category of square feet, you charge this much, maybe 2 or 3 categories. So you got a little bit of flexibility, and it's not that difficult. Just go measure the space and go do it. And then we paid them commission on it. Like you got, I think it was 15% of the profit of that job. So however profitable it was, the person who sold it got 15%. The person that sold it, and then they usually execute on it as well. They'll coordinate the team and everything. They got 15% of the profits of that particular tag work. And you can give them a list like, hey, you're allowed to sell this, and this. And if it's anything weird or complicated, then touch base with me and we'll go out and look at it together. And this is really profitable stuff too, right? Tag work is typically 40, 50% margin stuff. Whereas everything else we're doing is, 25, 30%. Yes, sir.
We
Matt.
copied what they did after we heard about it, and it has boomed our project team. We do it a little bit different for the partnership meetings. We bring in our special project manager that sits with the area manager.
Okay.
And then they kind of bid it together. And then just to make the commission structure a little bit easier, we do $50 per job that the area manager sets. So we're not having to track the
Yep.
profit.
Yep.
as closely.
Cool. Did you find that those managers became motivated, like once they started getting those little commission checks?
So quickly.
It's like, yeah. Yeah, ours were actually making so much money on it for a period of time during COVID that we were like, ooh, we got to put the brakes on this. Like, we had some people that were normally, like their base salary would be like $40,000, and they might make somewhere between $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in like commission and profit sharing and stuff over the course of a year. Started making like $70,000 and $80,000 in a year. You know, once you roll out a compensation plan, you can't like get stingy and be like, oh, you're making too much money, you know. So we had to, you know, bite the bullet, and we sort of because it got a little where they saw how much money they can make, and it made them think, well, shoot, my sole job is to go sell project work now. To heck with these long-term contracts and relationships, you know. So we had to work on tweaking that a little bit. All right. So product resale is the next one. How many of you all are selling products to your customers? Like toilet paper, paper towels, that sort of thing. All right, so this is one, we try to mark this up between 15 and 30%. It just makes all the sense in the world that every customer that you're servicing, you should be selling them products. So if at all possible, this is something you should be doing. Because you're already stocking it. When they're out of it, you're notifying them of it. I mean, and then what we do as well, this is part of what, when we started increasing this, is we have our supplier drop ship all this stuff. So it may not, I mean, it's probably still worth it, but you don't want to be out running supplies everywhere and dropping stuff off. Really lean on your supplier to drop this off at the locations. Because then all you're doing is placing orders to make 15, 20% on this sort of thing. Do you have a question or a comment? Chris? Yes, sorry.
So before you were able to start drop shipping, because drop shipping is practical when you've got these larger clients.
Yep.
So when we've got the smaller clients and we're not necessarily, they don't use that much to justify a drop ship. How often do you evaluate what you're paying? Because the volatility of costs are so great these days. How often do you evaluate the expense and then what to charge?
So how do you decide like what to charge them? My encouragement, because early on what we did is we would get our fixed price and then we would say, all right, we're going to charge you this dollar amount per case. I think what we do now, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but we just mark up whatever it is. And so we're not like having this big conversation with them. If the price fluctuates on our end, it fluctuates on their end as well.
Part of what pulls down our profit is we have our largest resale customers in Bloomington. We bought it when we purchased the company there in Bloomington. Their largest resale customer, they don't mark up their resale about 5%. That's why our numbers aren't as good as they should be.
But still, you can see over time, it went from nothing to making about $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in margin and profit on this stuff. And so it starts to add up over time, and you start collecting it. And the more you get, the more you can lean on your supplier to get better pricing and to do the drop shipping thing. Because they don't want to do that, because it's kind of a pain to them. But you start using some of that leverage that you have over time. So you may start out having to drop ship or drop off some of this stuff yourself, but you just want to coordinate that in order to make sure you're making money.
Does your area managers order the products? Who orders them?
Yeah, I think we do place the orders of the products. Yeah, the area managers do, yeah.
Place the orders?
Yep.
Because logistically,
Yep. This should be an encouragement to all of us, because I would say it's probably an area that none of us are really tapping into a lot. And you've got a lot of revenue right there on the table, right in front of you, that you can go out and get. And that's really what I'm wanting to show in this whole exercise, is that there's revenue out there for all of you all that you don't need a sales staff to go out and get. It's right there for you.
All right. We also have, you got, it gives all of us, we're at the top of the supply chain.
Yeah.
So when things were tight, we were, you guys too, getting stuff when other contractors.
Yeah.
and customers will start asking you, can you do this and this?
Yeah.
So it opens a lot of doors.
Yeah, that's great. And something that I think is worth thinking about here too, we want to be the kind of company that's really hard to get rid of. It's like our customers really like us. Yeah, and we don't want it to be easy. So if all you do is basic 5-night-a-week janitorial service, there's a lot of companies that can do that, right? But if you're also doing tag work and a lot of other projects for them, and you're selling them supplies, and you start ratcheting up the things that you're doing for them, it makes you a lot harder to get rid of. So your security becomes tighter, which can help your retention, okay? So not only do you get more profit, but it benefits you. Do you have something to add, Jeff?
Yeah, what I was going to say, we were 2.8%.
2.8%. We got some room.
The thing that we run into, and I think the way to sell this is a lot of times people will say, well, can you give me your list of products and I'll compare it to what I'm buying? That the cost associated with it and having to fool with it is really the value. So that's what I think we haven't done a good job of selling that is hey, it's one more thing you don't have to worry about.
Yep.
If you found the information in this podcast helpful, please like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform that you're using. If you would like more resources or help to grow your cleaning company, head over to EliteBSC.com. We have loads of articles, videos, free tools, coaching options, and a lot more. If your company is greater than $500K in revenue and you want to take your learning experience to the next level, check out our mastermind group. You can learn more about that at EliteBSC.com/mastermind.